Hello, it's Shanna. Today I have a video about well, this is the original painting, and the video is about me trying to recreate this. This is one of my favorite paintings. I just love it. I don't know. It's great. So then I actually recreated it here, and I feel like I'm not 100% satisfied with this for some reason compared to the original. I do like the original better, but there are things I like about the new one, and it's okay. It doesn't have to always turn out perfectly. So, if you want to see me create that painting, it's basically with oil pastels, and I used a vintage book page, and I did a what's the word? A coat of watercolor ground on it in order to like prep the page. But you can absolutely just use gesso. You could use clear gesso or white gesso. You could use black gesso. You could use anything really. I would just put something down on the page before you go on top of it with oil pastels, because the oil pastels will adhere better to the page and you'll be able to create more layers. So I'm not actually a fan of watercolor ground for watercolor, but I happen to try it with this and it's amazing. And actually I use the pearlescent one, the Daniel Smith pearlescent watercolor ground, and just a little peek of it kind of still shows through the paint, like the parts that didn't get oil pastel on them. So I really like that look. And yes, here's the video. Enjoy. Today, I am going to recreate this painting. This is oil pastel, and I absolutely adore this painting so much. It's just so magical. I love it. And let's see if I can do it justice by trying it again. I don't remember I have this sort of vintage book in German that I used. I actually don't even know if I have that book anymore, but I have a better book. Look how old this is. And I bought 2 copies of this because I was so like disturbed about tearing it up for art that I don't know. It's ridiculous, but I almost was actually going to read this because it's like I don't know, it's some kind of fantasy. But man, the illustrations in this book are just so pretty. But then I read the reviews on the actual book and they weren't that great. So I don't think I'm actually going to read it, but I am going to tear it up and make art out of it. One thing I learned about these old antique books is that you can cut the binding in such a way that you preserve whole pages instead of just the half pages. Look at these illustrations. I mean, they're just so pretty. So anyway, really all you have to do is find okay, here it is. You have to just find the center of one of the signatures in the book and cut the strings, and then you can pull out the whole spread of the page, which I just love that, because then I can make bigger pieces of art on this vintage paper. And I don't intend to do that today, but I'm getting distracted by these illustrations because they're just so cool. Okay, so I'm going to actually cut this because I don't want it to, I want it to be just one side of the page like this. And I'll take you through the whole process of what I did to make that painting. Just gonna cut this. Maybe I'll do 2 at the same time just to see what happens with that. All right. Oh, and then I brought this painting upstairs. I had it hanging downstairs on my little, like, you know how you can do like the twine and then the little paper clothespins. I just have paintings hanging on 2 lines of twine downstairs. So Oh, I really adore this also, and I have actually done many more of these in this sort of style, but this one is my favorite, and I thought I would bring it up here to inspire myself again, like I've been trying to do lately. I'm just putting my other one up on my table easel, so I can see it. Okay, the thing I did that I thought was pretty darn cool with this painting was that I started it by using a base coat of watercolor ground. And this is the pearlescent white. So I love that on here because it does shine through a bit, mostly on the edges where I didn't go over it with oil pastel, but it just gives it a nice dimension, I think. And I actually sealed this with some kind of spray sealer, so it's pretty, it's in good shape in terms of like being sealed and protected, so that's good. All right, let's get out the watercolor ground. It's been a while since I used this stuff. I don't use this for watercolor. You know, I probably should put gesso down first, but no, I'm not going to. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. So I want it to end up looking a little messy on the edges. I'm not trying to be perfectionist about this. And with watercolor ground, you will find that it's actually kind of challenging to be perfectionist because it's just the way it is. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just a weird substrate. I guess that's the right word. I don't really know, but it's a little wacky. So I can't say I've had much success actually using it with watercolor. For me anyway, I don't get it. And that's okay, because I have found other uses for it. I'm just getting that out of the way so I can do the other side. I like that this allows the words to show a bit underneath, and then I feel like the original one, yeah, you can see the words. It's a bit subtle, but I just love that effect. I think that's super cool. I think technically you're supposed to let this stuff dry for, oh yeah, 24 to 48 hours. Well, I'm not gonna do that, I would say. But I live in Arizona and everything here dries so quickly that, see, this stuff gets kind of like gunky when you're putting it on, so it's almost impossible to put it on like a nice smooth coat of this stuff. I don't really like it, but I do like it for this purpose that I'm using it for. That's probably the only thing that I like it for. All right, so that is going to have to dry, and you really can't speed it up with a heat gun, so I'll be back to show you my next steps after that's dry. Okay, actually, that did not take very long to dry. As I said, Arizona, my air conditioner's running. It's so dry here. It's totally dry. That took like maybe 15 minutes or so. Let me just show you my reference, so to speak. Oh, I just love how they're just like popping off the page. This is one of my favorite artworks. And it's funny because now I'm like, I don't know where to start. What in the world? But you just have to start somewhere, right? Oh, okay. The cool thing also about the watercolor ground is it does give you a nice texture. See that texture? And so the oil pastel will grab onto that a bit more than like a regular non-textured piece of paper. I am looking at my reference a bit. I mean, I'm not trying to copy it exactly because obviously that would be very difficult. At least I think so with oil pastels because they're just so I don't know. I don't know what they are, but they're not easy to recreate exactly, is what I think I'm trying to say. And I will be doing a decent amount of blending with my blending stump. So I'll get that out. Yeah, it's funny. Doing two at the same time, I don't think is my preference. I'm just gonna say that now. So if I ignore this other page, let's just get that out of the way. I think one is probably enough for one video. I tend to get like just focused on the one thing that I'm doing and that's it. So I can definitely go back and forth between different artworks. Like, I don't know. I don't even know truly what I'm trying to say, but doing two of these at the same time just doesn't feel like what I want to do right now. I know I put a lot of like white around in the background. It's been so long since I actually painted this that do you call oil pastels painting or drawing? Because sometimes I'm like, this is not painting, but it kind of is, right? So I don't really know what to call it, but I would say I say it interchangeably. Painting versus it's oil pasteling. That's what it is. I am using, I gotta check my missed calls to make sure my kids are okay at school. Hold on. Well, it wasn't my kids' school, so let's move on. All right. This is kind of a warm-ish white. I don't know what it's called. The name, oh, it's ivory. Okay. So I kind of like that. I'm trying not to cover up all of the ground, watercolor ground that's on the edges. I want that shimmer to shine through a little bit. Oh, is it not clear that this is lavender? I'm sure everyone has already figured that out. I also do these in watercolor, this sort of same composition. I don't have any, just, I don't want to spend time looking for one of them right now, but I do enjoy this composition and I have revisited it quite a few times. Purple and orange, woo, BFFs in my book. Love purple and orange together. It's like just delightful. I always usually keep a blue shop towel around for wiping off things that I don't really want to put in my water. Well, or you can't really, like oil pastels. I try to wipe off excess acrylic paint before I dip it in my water so that my water doesn't get dirty as frequently. And then I do dispose of my dirty water outside on the side of my house because I know it's not good to put that down the drain. So I try not to do that. Well, I used to before I knew better, but then I learned that that is not perhaps the best way to dispose of dirty paint water. Anyway, the other painting is just so good. I don't know. It's going to take a while to get it to that point. I mean, there's no doubt about that. It's going to take a while. You got to have patience with. So I just went in with my dirty blending stump, but that's exactly what I want because I want to get the colors that I'm blending elsewhere in the painting. Like up here, to have some of that green is really awesome in my opinion. I think I was just saying something and I lost my train of thought, but that's okay. If I haven't said this, I am using Neopastels by Caran, and also I'm very lightly rubbing this on up here. I'm going to blend it in. It's not, those lines aren't going to really be there, but I also use Mungyo Gallery oil pastels. They are fabulous. I wish they came open stock. They don't, to my knowledge. If they ever do, I'm going to be buying those like crazy, but I haven't yet run out of any colors since I bought like the full set of those. I haven't run out of any colors, but when I do, there are just certain colors in that set that I have not found in other brands really. So I would probably buy the full set again to replace colors. As crazy as that might sound, they're really, really, really good. But I think that having the Neocolor or Neopastels along with them just give just those extra options that it's really a complete set for me. I really am a big fan of using both of those brands. However, you could absolutely 100% get away with just the Mungyo pastels, and then maybe supplement a couple of colors from the Neopastel line instead of buying that full set. I wouldn't necessarily recommend buying both if you're trying not to like spend $1 million on art supplies like I have been known to do. I really stopped buying art supplies over the last 6 months, maybe. Partially because I just have everything I need, and also I'm just trying not to like every time I get a little whim about a product, ordering it, which is what I used to do. Anyway, to each their own on that subject. The only thing I will do going forward is replace art supplies that I run out of. It's hard to imagine really buying any more sets of things, or I just have found the things that I like using, and that's kind of that. Oh wow, that is making a mess. I think the watercolor ground is really like hard on these oil pastels because it's just kind of crumbling off. And the way I'm dotting it. Okay. Going in with Champagne, which is a Mungyo color, kind of a neutral. Try to pull things together. Oh, you know what else I want to do? Is go back in with, or actually, I'm going to grab my cream Neocolor pastel and go ahead and just scribble the heck out of this sort of background area. Get rid of those lines from that pink that I did. Getting some more green up in there. I'm going kind of into the flower a little bit to smear the color. And then you can always go back over and add more definition to the flower back in if you blend too much of it. Okay, let's look at these side by side. Kind of like where this one's going. Okay. Next, I want a darker green, olive kind of green. Olive, there you go. It's almost impossible for me to explain everything I'm doing because it's just sort of like happening as I go in the moment. Sometimes I'm switching back and forth really quickly on certain colors and tools. I am looking forward to going around the flowers with a white towards the end to make them really pop. That is going to be so fun. Can't wait to do that. So some of those lines I just put in with the olive, I'm essentially like erasing, even though really I'm just blending them, but I'm sort of erasing the line. I like some of that to stay in, but I don't want it to be too much. I'm thinking. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead with the white now. Sometimes it's hard to get oil pastel to lay on top once you've already done like a lot of blending. So tapping it in like this can help that happen. can help that color lay down. But this is definitely, this color, this white does not want to quite do what I want it to do. Maybe if I use a different, maybe I'll try the Mungyo one. Ivory white, white, pretty much the same thing. See if that wants to go down. Probably not. So I'm glad I did this now because otherwise there's no way that this, it's really just not, it's just picking up color from underneath. So that's not working. I guess there's an argument for doing that first, maybe, or not so much first, but anyway, before you go in with the background colors, but I think it's fine. Let me put that there so I can see. So, oh yeah, okay. I can see what I need to do. I just have these lovely colors coming through in this one. Where is my Payne's Gray? Where is it? I'm finding Prussian blue. I'm pretty sure I have a Payne's Gray oil pastel. Huh. Well, it doesn't want to come out and play right now, apparently. So I guess I'll use Prussian blue. I was thinking of adding in like darker values, kind of within that like teal green that I have in there. I really wanted Payne's, like a Payne's Gray type color. Oh, that is going to drive me crazy. I have indigo blue, but that's not... Am I losing it? I swear I have a Payne's Gray, but it should be in there. See, I kind of like wanted it not to be so much like this blue, like this... I wanted it to be more neutral, I think is what I'm trying to say. So how do I neutralize it? Let's see. Let's try a little brown on top of it, and then we'll blend it together and see what happens. That brown is kind of nice anyway. I think it's time for me to take a break from this and come back and see it with fresh eyes. So I feel like I like it. I'm not in love yet, but sometimes that takes a little time. But I am, before I go, going to try to get some pink in this background. So the problem that I'm running into right now is that at a certain point, sometimes it's just hard to get more color on top. That is actually working though. Let's put a little yellow and see what happens. Yeah, that is great. I love that pink in there. That's awesome. I would like to do more to the actual like flowers, but I'm finding that they're just kind of done. Like I'm having a hard time getting any more color on top of what I have. So I feel like I should leave them alone at this point. Let's see if this darker color will go. Oh, that's working. Oh no, I just feel like they need a little more something. Also, I'm pretty sure I'm ready to eat lunch. So there's that. Whoa, this is really dirty and I'm smearing it everywhere. But that's okay. That's how we get colors in interesting places in a painting like this. Okay, the pink. I like it. I feel like it needs to be a little more throughout the painting. So I'm going to see if I can find areas where I can get it to accept the pink. And I am going to blend it a little bit. Okay. Not sure. Let me just try to fix what I think I'm thinking about and then I'll explain. Yeah. So I don't like some of that blue teal. It's just like I just need to blend it in a little bit. It was just a little too separate, I guess. So I'm just going over it with that light olive color just to, I don't know, make it pop a little bit less. That was my goal. Okay, yeah. Time to walk away. I think I know I keep saying it and I don't do it. This might be done, but I have to walk away and then come back and decide, but I'm pretty happy with it. Again, just to be clear, my goal here is to have fun and relax and paint, not to be perfectionist with my art. I'm not saying that's always easy to do, but that is my goal. So A lot of times the imperfect things that happen are my favorite things. So, you know what I did in this other one? I went on top with this crazy, like, green color. And I don't, oh, here it is, lemon green. I'm just gonna do it because I just like the way it looks, even though it's kind of crazy. Oh, let's see, what else? I guess I just can't stop. What can I say? Okay, my only thought at this time is I think I like having more flowers in this one. I think there's less in this one, which, I mean, you know, it is what it is. But I certainly don't think it's going to handle me adding any more on top of all that blended background. So in the future, I would maybe try doing some more flowers in the earlier stages. Look at me trying to add flowers after I said I couldn't. Yeah, it's not happening. There's just nowhere that's the oil pastel is so thick. There's no way I can get flowers on top of it. So anyway, that's my thought right now. I'll come back and reevaluate this after I eat lunch. Bye for now. I am back after having some lunch, and I don't know how I feel. But I think I used this Stabilo on this one. I don't know if you can see it, but there's just a really nice little, like, there's some nice little lines from, I don't think it was this lemon green that I had said about. So, oh, that is not really laying down color, but it is scratching into the oil pastel very nicely. Which is something I do want to happen in this painting. I'm gonna get I might use that. I don't know. Let me try a couple things. Well, okay. I don't really know what I'm doing, but that's okay. I think what I'm stuck on right now is that I'm looking at this one and I'm wanting this to be this. That is a risk you take when you try to recreate something and it's not quite. So I need to put that out of sight for a little bit and see if there's any other way that I can figure out to kind of bring this together. I'm just not sure what I want to do, even though I did walk away for a while. I also don't want to do too much to it because I'm going to overpaint it. I'm going to sign it. I think that there's like some chunkies I'm going to just scrape off here. I think I'm happy with this. I think it was fun to try to recreate my original. I mean, I did that probably a year ago, and so that was a little challenging. Oh my gosh. There's a window right next to me and I just took off, I had a shade screen on it and I took it off just now before I started recording. And it's like so much brighter now. I don't know if you can tell the difference from before. I'm just going back in with my cream and adding okay, I think I need to stop on this one. That is it for today, for this video. Thanks for watching. Oh, and I probably should have mentioned this in the beginning, but you definitely don't have to use watercolor ground. I'll probably make an intro and say that because you could totally just use clear gesso, even white gesso. You could use whatever color gesso you want. I would definitely recommend doing something like that on if you're using a book page like I did, because otherwise it might be, it's going to be even harder to get the oil pastel to layer for you. If you use a gesso or some kind of base like that, it will be so much easier. But I'll just re-record my intro and say that in the beginning. So, okay, great. See you next time.